Alright folks, so in this video what I wanted to cover is how you can build a multi-agent system with small agents. So we have previously released two videos in this small agent series. So if you haven't gone through those two videos, I would request you to go through those because that are the building block for this particular video. Right, so we'll build something like this where we will have a manager agent. So the manager agent will have four agents at its disposal. So one of them is like a code agent, which will typically do the generic coding and it can get you the results based on the prompt, right? So then we have a RAG agent, which will answer the queries which can be answered better using a RAG process, right? So then we have a web search agent. So this web search agent comprises of two sub agents. So one of them is a visit web page tool and the other one is a DuckDuckGo search tool, right? So, and the last one what we have is the image generation agent. So it will take the user prompt and if the prompts are related to generating an image, then it will uh, pass the control to this particular agent to generate an image from the text, right? So let's get started with this. So at first what we will do is we will start with the installations. Once the installations are done, then we will get the tokens. So the Hugging Face token is a must for this video, and whenever you are using small agents, so you need the Hugging Face token, right? So then we are testing out if my small agent is working or not. Then we will start building the agents, right? So this is what we have discussed in our last video, that we will create a RAG tool and that we will use in our agent, right? So what we will do is we will index this Hugging Face transformer related documents. Then we will push those documents after creating the chunks into the vector DB. And when that is done, then we will create a retriever tool, which we have discussed in the last video. So then once we have the retriever tool, what we will create here is we will create a managed agent, right? So if I go back to the image, you will see at the second level we have managed agents, right? So we have three managed agents. One of them is a managed RAG agent, which will have the access to the RAG tool. Then we will have the other two managed agents like the managed web agent and the managed image generation agent, right? So at first we will create this RAG agent where we will pass the tool which we have created, and we will also make it a code agent. So whenever we created the base RAG agent, then we will create the managed RAG agent. So there we will pass the agent which we have created here, and after that we will give a name and also a description, right? So this description is very crucial. Based on that, the supervisor will kind of decide which managed agent to pick and choose to perform the correct task given the prompt, right? So then what we will create a web search tool. So that web search tool is nothing but a Python function, and using this URL, this function will get the content of that particular URL. Then it will create a markdown of the content of that URL, and then it will return this markdown content, right? So once that is done, then what we will do is we will club those two agents. So one of them is a DuckDuckGo search tool, and the other one the Python function related tool, right, which is a visit web page, right? And then we will wrap this in the code agent, and we will create a web agent, right? So in the Hugging Face documentation, they have created this agent as a tool calling agent, which will leverage the JSON tool calling format. So I have seen like if you use the JSON tool calling agent, the performance is not that optimal. Instead of that, if we use a code agent, so the performance would be much more optimized for this web search managed agent, right? So then what we will do is we will create this managed web agent where we will pass uh, the agent which we have created here, and then we will give it a name, and also we will give a corresponding description of this managed web agent, right? Once that is done, then we will move to the image generation tool. So we will leverage previously created tool which is hosted in the Hugging Face. So as I mentioned in my last video, that a lot of tools have been created, and small agents kind of exposing those tools in their server so that other can leverage those tools to build the agents, right? So one of them is like this text to image tool, which will get a text as an input, and then it will generate a high quality image, right? So it will leverage this flex.1 model, which can take a prompt as an input, and then it can generate an image out of it, right? So once this image generation tool is created, then what we will do is we will create a image gen agent out of it, and then we will create the managed image gen agent, right? So there we will mention the name of the agent. Then also we will give the description of this particular agent, like what it can do, right? So the description which I have given here is runs image generation for you, give it a query as an argument, right? So once all these managed agents are created, then what we will do is we will create a manager agent, right, which will kind of act as a supervisor, and then it will have three managed agent at its disposal. And so those three managed agents are nothing but managed RAG agent, the managed web agent, and the managed image agent, right? And also we will pass the model as an input, and we will give additional authorized imports, right, which are like numpy, pandas, and the beautiful soup 4, right? And we are also mentioning that the max step equals to 10. So this you can change according to your use case, as we are exploring a lot of things in this video. So I have given a higher value, so the agent will take a lot of time to generate the final output, right? So but if you want to optimize it, you can give a value like 5 or 4 based on the requirements and the things which you are running. You can try out different queries. You can pass a query like tell me about QKV from transformers document, right? And the way to do it is you will use this manager agent, then you will call this .run function, and there you will pass your prompt, right? So then let's see how it will try to resolve and try to give a particular answer for this type of prompt, right? So you can see straight away it started using the rack search. So it understood from the given prompt that it should do a rack search, and it will go to the vector DB to fetch the correct context to generate the final answer, right? So then it also tried with web search, but it goes through like a lot of iterations. Then finally it decides that it can generate multiple variations of the input prompt, and then it will use the retriever to get the final answer, right? So with a lot of iterations, as I mentioned, like I have given the max step equals to 10, so it will go through 10 steps, and in between it will also do query rewriting, and it will change the form of the query, and then it will try to get the best answer for you, right? So you'll see in the end finally it will generate answer after going through 10 iterations, right? Is the final answer that has been generated using the RAG tool, or the RAG managed agent, right? So then we are passing a query which is like when and where is the next FIFA World Cup. So you can understand like this query should be answered with using a web search. So it will start going through this web search tool. So it will try to form different queries, and it will try to retrieve the answer using a web search, right? So so you can see like it also goes to the retriever, which is vector DB, but it does not find the content, so it will get back to uh, the web search agent. So you can see it has generated this web search query. It will leverage this request library, and it will pass this URL to this request library to get the content, right? So finally, after going through a lot of iterations, it will generate the answer, right? So you can see the final answer has been generated. So you can see the final answer is the next FIFA World Cup is scheduled for November 2026, which will be jointly hosted by USA, Canada, and Mexico, right? So using a web search, it generated the answer for you, right? So then let's try out our last question, which is like, who is the current Prime Minister of India? Can you generate that Prime Minister's image, right? So At first, it will go through the web search, then it will try to understand who is the current Prime Minister of India, and by doing that web search, it will try to get the Prime Minister's name, and once the Prime Minister name it generates or gets either using a web search or a RAG tool. So it's most likely it will get the answer using a web search. So once it gets the answer, then it will try to generate the image using a managed image gen tool, which we have discussed earlier, right? So you can see like it also generated the prompt in such a way that it should generate a high quality, a very realistic type of image for our current Prime Minister of India, right? So you can see this has generated this image of our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, and it leverage that image generation tool, which takes a prompt and then it generates a image, right? So with this, I hope you got a understanding how you can build a multi-agent system using small agents. So we clubbed in a lot of tools like starting from RAG as a tool, then web search as a tool. Then also we have integrated a text to image generation tool using this whole video, right? So I hope you found this video quite helpful and you can use it in your day-to-day projects to build a more sophisticated multi-agent system. So with this, I will end this video. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.